So from a healing aspect, we would... It's going to be one of those days.
Take 3.
So from a healing aspect, it's pretty much, healing
Drink it.
everybody up.
Sorry.
We,
I have to have a blooper in there.
Thank you, Fafford, for that blooper.
I kissed an orc and I liked it. The taste of his Bulgur chapstick. I kissed an orc just to try it. I hope my allied friends don't mind it. It felt so wrong, it felt so right. Don't meet up in love tonight.
Hey everybody, welcome to Lion's Pride Tavern podcast number 46. Tonight we talk about our weekend raid, and Donabelle joins us while Epistle is away enjoying some overseas holiday. But before all that, let's start off with introductions. I'm your host, Fafford. I play a Dwarven Beastmaster Hunter in the awesome game World of Warcraft. Next up is JobUi.
Hi, I'm JobUi. I play a Worgen Frost Mage.
And Lorelei.
Hi, it's Lorelei, your Night Elf Fury Warrior.
And Donabelle.
Hi, it's Donabelle. I am your Human Protection Paladin.
Ding!
Laundry.
And Tapachino.
Hey, it's Tapachino, your Night Elf Restoration Druid, here 3 weeks in a row.
Woohoo!
Ooh,
Awesome.
that's a record.
In the summer, too. Woo.
In the summer. We did all our riding earlier.
Nice.
Thank you, Fafford. I like getting that reminder that I need to finish my laundry every Sunday.
That actually was not me.
That was my phone telling me that I had emails.
Well, it reminded me I've got laundry to finish.
There you go. However it works out. There we go. Sunday laundry day. All right. Well, let's talk about our laundry. JobUi?
All right, so this week on our Friday night raid, we had a spectacular night. We blasted through, I think, the first 5 bosses, which is basically took us all the way, or was it 6? First 6 bosses, actually.
6, yeah.
Yeah, it took us all the way to our progression fight on the first night. Now, we didn't actually make any attempts on Maiden on that night, but yeah, we went through Goroth, Demonic Inquisition, Harshtan, Sisters of Moon, Mistress Sazine, Desolate, and the Desolate Host, and it was all pretty clean. I don't think we had too many screw-ups, just a little one. I forget which boss it was. Was it Sisters of the Moon that we had a little screw-up?
Yeah.
Yeah. But we cleaned it right up and then went on and got through it all. And it was a great Friday night. So we came back on Saturday night and took on the Maiden of Vigilance. And we did pretty well on a couple of pulls. We had some of our players had issues with, figuring out which side they were on and how to deal with the bombs that go off on that fight. And I think the lowest we got it down to was about 15%, 16%, somewhere around there.
Yep.
It was a very fun fight, but you got to do the mechanics 100% on that fight. Everybody has to do the mechanics 100% on that fight, or it's not gonna go. So we got to try it again next week, I think.
Yep. We can talk about Maiden here for a little bit. I think the really tough part was, I think this is one of those bosses that you don't want a lot of people because there's so many specialty mechanics. I mean, it randomly switches people's sides where normally you have set groups. One side, over here, one side over there, like in Host. And this one will randomly switch, so there's a lot of people doing the specialty mechanics that they don't normally do all the time. That's my own personal opinion. What do you guys think, JobUi?
Yeah, I think this is one of those fights where, when you have a lot of people, that's just a lot more opportunities for somebody to mess up in a fight where nobody can mess up, really, is what it comes down to. There are some things you can mess up and will survive, and you can maybe get through like 1 or 2 screw-ups here or there, but they can't be major, or it's going to really throw a wrinkle in the raid and probably wipe us. So I also know that there are some mechanics that the tanks can handle, with their cooldowns and with some externals, that they can't do if you have a large group. Like if it's only, if it's a 10-man raid, sure they can handle it. If it's a 30-man raid, no, there's not a chance they can handle that. But I think you're right in the sense that it's like having too many cooks in the kitchen kind of thing, where everybody has to be on point, and I think it might be easier for fewer people to all be on point than it is for a large number of people to all be on point. But I think it's really just, even with a large group, I think it really just comes down to people just have to focus really hard on, I must do these mechanics and I must do them right, or I'm going to kill people. And so I think if everybody focuses in really, really well, and I think we can still do it with a large group. I think it just is going to require more focus and people to really knuckle down on that one.
Lorelei?
I agree with what JoBui said. This fight is right now my favorite fight. And people really do have to take responsibility for themselves. This is not a fight where you can call out who's got a bomb or who's got this. You have to be paying attention. And sometimes when we start going through bosses very quickly, people get a little complacent about following the mechanics, and they think, well, I've got the gear, I've got the DPS, I don't have to do this. Yes, you have to do this, and this is going to be what has to be done for the next 3 fights. If you're not following what you're supposed to do, it's going to wipe the entire raid. So I think this is a good fight to get people used to sitting up, making sure they've got DBM or bigwigs or whatever they want to use on, and knowing that you have got to start following directions. And I'm going to be the directions police again on that one.
Donabelle, how about you?
Yeah, it's definitely one of those fights that you need to pay attention to what's going on your debuff. If you get the add-on move anything, you can move that debuff to where you could see it better. And that would help the tanks out a lot, because if the tanks have the bombs, they have to jump in the hole. And if we're in the hole, we can't taunt the boss.
Yep, good point. Now, just so all of our listeners know, Donabelle has actually stepped in for Epistle because he's away on holiday. And she's our, I guess you'd call it our secondary off tank. And maybe even our primary tank when Durag goes. Because you tanked the weekend before, didn't you? When Durag and I weren't there?
Yeah, and I tanked the mythics afterwards. I'm pretty much the... you have a hole to fill, I fill that hole.
Yep.
And do a very good job doing it.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'm surprised how, well, I'm not really surprised. You picked up on all the bosses pretty quick. So, I because this is the first time I've been with you tanking in this dungeon, and boy, you just, it was just bang, 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 bang. It was great. I enjoyed it. Tapachino, how about you?
You should have seen me last week.
Oh, well, JoBui kind of talked a little bit about that last podcast. He's like, I don't like being in charge all the time.
It's just like, I like that we split the responsibilities, because it takes the load off of each one of us, and it makes it more enjoyable for all of those who have to do the raid leading. But when you have to keep track of everything, it's frustrating.
Yeah, so for the listeners, there's 3-4 of us that co-raid lead. My wife, Mommy Fortuna, she'll do all the secretarial work. She'll split the groups. She'll do the summonings and make sure all the people get invited. JoBui and I basically call the fights. And there's more than that, because every once in a while, is it Dizzy or is it? It's one of the other hunters.
Spiffy was
Bug,
calling he's called a couple of fights here and there.
Yeah, he's been calling out fights, so that's really good too. He does a great job. So there's multiple people. We're not really one of those guilds that are set on, I'm in charge and you guys will listen to me type. We're all about working together as a team. So, but anyway, we'll go back to Tapachino. Tapachino, How about you, Maidens of Vigilance? What'd you think?
Well, I probably can't add too much more to what has already been said. It's strictly a mechanical fight. It's funny because at the beginning of the raid, we had a discussion with the healers. Okay, we've got 2 pally buffs. Who needs the mana most? And well, it turns out it didn't really matter because we never got close enough to running out of mana. Um, but it's a little frustrating because um, with the bombs and people just not being in the same spot. But, as always, we'll get it down. It's just going to take us a little more time. And I think it was probably a good lesson learned, that, hey, we can't go in and just down it right away like sometimes we do, and that you do have to pay attention. Hopefully people will, look at the films that were mentioned or the videos and get a better idea what's going on. And come next week, we'll get her down.
Yeah, Fat Boss TV is about the only one I know of that's got something out there.
Yeah. I don't think
But-
nobody else has got a video that I've seen for this one. I mean, maybe there is. I think there might have been
Well-
a second one I saw, but
You can watch our live stream, but I don't know if that's the proper way to do it.
yeah,
You can watch and
the-
see what not to do.
you see what went wrong. But yeah, it's one of the things is like, we touched on it before. It's about that complacency with the mechanics. A lot of times on these fights, when we do have players who maybe they're not paying attention to those mechanics, they get healed through it, or if we're having a rough go of it, sometimes we have some pretty good heavy hitters on the DPS. Sometimes we can DPS through things that instead of handling them maybe the straightforward way or whatever. And there's none of that you can do on this particular fight. It just is everybody has to do the job, and everybody has to do it well. And if they don't, that's it. And like Lorelai was saying, that's the next 3 fights. It's the rest of the raid. And I'm kind of glad that Blizzard is putting this in there. That it's not a fight where you can cheese through some mechanic or something, that you have to do them, and that it's everybody that has to do them, because it's going to make for sharper raiders going down the road if they get better at handling mechanics like they're going to have to with these next 3 fights.
Yeah, and I have to agree with Lorelai. It's a fun fight. It is a good time, even though it got frustrating. It's a lot of fun, and we did get a little better every time. I mean, we at first couldn't even get past the opening sequence, but then, before you know it, we're going back and forth. So it's definitely a fun fight, and we will get it down. But yeah, I agree with JoBui too. The mechanics are awesome. It's really fun to have to be able to work at getting the boss down like this, and not just, high DPS and awesome heals. It's also doing what you have to do when you have to do it.
Also feels to me a little bit like the mechanics are a little, I mean, they're not necessarily things that we haven't encountered before sometimes, like having to grab certain things or what have you. But it just feels like the way that they've constructed this fight is a little different than how they've done some of the other ones in the past. And it's nice to see some variation in a boss fight come up like this, which is pretty fun.
Well, that's why I was saying this isn't one of those ones where there's just a select group of people doing the special mechanics that nobody else does because they're not used to doing it. Now you have to because of the randomness of it. It randomly picks people to go to the other sides, and it randomly picks people to jump into the pit with the bombs. Unless you screw up and you're on the wrong side, then you send everybody in. So there's a lot of randomness to this where, you can't just say, we're going to split the group down the middle, even on this side, even on that side, and you just stay on your side and we'll stay on ours, and then it just doesn't work that way. So, and I'm enjoying that. And like I said, the next few fights are that way, so we'll just have to struggle through it. I think we can do it. So go ahead, Tap. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Go ahead and finish up answering.
Oh, no, I was finished, but I realized I didn't actually answer the original question. Was, I believe, do we feel that a small group is, better for that fight? And like you guys were saying, a smaller group would be more manageable, but at the same time, we've got good raiders, and we can do it. So smaller is better, but we'll get it down with who we have to.
Yep. Anybody else on Maiden? They got anything they want to add?
Yeah, I was talking with Jugal about the raid and told him the crazy mechanics that were going on, and he actually did the tanking for Thaddeus back in Axaramis, and it reminded him a lot of that fight. So I wonder if maybe going back and looking at old videos of that might help.
It's possible.
Yeah.
I never did. I never raided an Axaramis, so I couldn't tell you.
They had a very similar mechanic. Instead of fell and light, it was positive and negative. And if you were positive, you had to stay on one side, and you had to cycle around the boss if you had the other polarity. So if you got negative, you had to cycle in the front of the boss to go to the negative side, and cycle the back if you had positive to go to the positive side.
Aha.
I was talking to Tensoon, and we were talking about the problems with the bomb, not the bombs, with the felon light being on the wrong sides. And he made a good point that maybe we could try this: is keep that ring right around the edge of the circle clear of everybody. And I don't know if the tanks are standing there or if they're standing on the other side. They're probably standing over on the side with the ring. So maybe we could reverse that. But keep one of those sections clear so that if somebody realizes at the wrong time, oh, I'm on the wrong side, they can move out to that empty spot and then move around. Because one time, I know I got it, and I ran around the whole edge because I didn't want to run into anybody. But then you're way out of range of heals, and you can die doing that. But if we keep a space open, maybe that'll give someone enough room to get through with a bomb and not give it to everybody.
You know, now they didn't have the bomb, but I did see some people with the wrong color on the
Yeah.
wrong side that were heading to the other side. But what they did, and they got through it without triggering any bombs by running along the back wall. On the outside
Okay.
wall is where they ran, back behind the bosses and the tanks and everything, and then got in with their group. I saw like 2 or 3 people during the raid do that to avoid hitting
So
anybody.
if we tell people leave that space open, don't stand past that track that's closest to the back end of the wall, then people have somewhere to go if they're on the wrong side.
I had gotten caught on the wrong side, and I went just right on the edge of the ring, the pit, and just did that short little jaunt from one side to the other, because if everybody's stacked up on their markers, then you have that space along the. So of course, that doesn't help if somebody has a bomb and they're going to jump. But I kind of panicked. I'm like, oh crap, I'm on the wrong side, and I just went along that, excuse me, that edge of the hole, and was able to get
Yeah,
to the other side.
Because the only downside to that, which, there's a good side and a downside, is that if you got 2 people running at the same time, they're going to run right into each other. But
Yes.
maybe that'll only give those 2 people bombs if they just keep on running,
Yeah.
and then just keep going and don't touch anybody else.
Well, the thing is, and Jelly brought that up before we actually started a poll. That's what she was talking about, was if you have to switch sides, go to the right of the boss.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't explain it very well, but I understood her point. But I didn't think we need it, because once the switch comes in, you have 5 seconds to get to the other side, where even if you do run into somebody of the opposite color, you don't get a bomb. It's just that some people they got switched, but they stayed on that side.
Mm-hmm.
And then when everybody stacked up, they were still stacked up right in the middle of it. Right in the middle of everybody. And I watched the entire side have to jump off because of that one person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going back to that same thing, is that everybody has to do the mechanics, because you don't know when it's going to happen to you. I mean, the first 2 or 3 polls that we did, I never left the fell side. And then all of a sudden on the 4th poll, I was like, oh crap, I just got the light.
Yeah.
But I hadn't got it for 3 boss polls. I'd always
Right.
been on the fell side. Even when we switched, it kept me on the fell side. So it's completely random. So you don't know when it's going to happen.
Yeah, there was fights where I would get like 2 in a row of the fell, and then I'd get light, and I'd have to switch to the other side. Now, as a mage, it's really easy to switch because I just blink to the other side. so it's really fast for me. But yeah, I mean, you have to pay attention because it can change, but that doesn't mean it's going to change, which is what I kind of like that it keeps you on your toes. But I also I would like it more if everybody were on their toes.
It's a fight that can. What makes it so much fun is what kills you, and that's the mechanics and the unknowns.
That which does not kill you makes it funner,
Yeah, I guess, but I think that's what's so much fun about it is.
or
is
that's
the
what
mechanics
kills
and
you
that
makes it
it's-
funner.
Funner.
I did that
Funner.
deliberately. I know. My wife's gonna yell at me later. She'll be like, "Funner's not a word."
Oh, it's not.
No.
Aw.
Well, maybe in Maine it is. I don't know.
Or
Can you say trinket?
New
this
Hampshire.
week?
I'm in New Hampshire, so
Oh,
New
sorry.
Hampshire's different.
Yeah, that is different.
Um,
y-
I tried. I was telling. Oh, speaking of trinket, I was telling my oldest about that story, and I said a word wrong. He starts cracking up. Yeah, that's what I was doing, honey.
yeah. Mommy can't say her R's.
Well, funner is a word, but only when you're using it among friends.
That's
All
right.
right, I like that.
So, but anyway, to go back to that, I think the reason we really like this boss is because, to be honest with you guys are always the ones doing the special mechanics. I know
Yeah.
Jobui and I have always done it. I've seen Lorelei volunteer numerous times. You know, Tap not so much unless it involves balls. And I don't
And
get
there's a
that,
lot of
but-
balls in this fight.
but you know, there are people out there literally that have joined us that have not been one of those people, and this fight requires you to be. So, and I think that's why we'll get it down. It's just going to take a lot longer, and people are going to get frustrated. We just need to keep a positive attitude, which we do, and you know, help them out when we can. Jobui came up with a great idea that he's going to do a week orders for people. If they're willing to take it, and then put it on there, and that'll help them to give you a visual ding. There it is. See, a visual and audible week orders. So
Yeah, I'm working on some week orders that will help. Actually, presently, I'm working on them while we're working on this. So.
all right, let's roll right along because I think that's enough about what happened on the raid. We did a fantastic job. I love the fact that we got the first 6 boxes down in one night. That was amazing. You know,
Yeah.
just,
Yeah, that reminded me of when we got really used to night hold and we were blasting through 8 in a night.
Yeah.
And it's just like people, it tells me they've got those fights down, which is great.
Well, but here's the thing. It took us, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, it took us longer to do that in Nighthold than it did in this one.
Oh yeah, certainly it did. We're only this is like 4th or 5th week in on the Tomb. So yeah, I mean we're moving along very quickly in Tomb.
Yeah, well, we started this raid with a lot of people better geared for this raid than they were for Emerald Nightmare.
Very true.
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
Too bad that gear didn't keep coming though.
No.
So I just want to read off. We did get a couple of fan comments that were pretty awesome. These were actually on the Podomatic website. So you can find us at podomatic.com /Lion Fried Tavern. They have they list each one of our episodes, and under the episodes you can leave comments on each one. Well, these comments were actually left by, let's see, the first one was titled Down to Earth People Talking WoW. And it was by Nick 28462947.
That was
I've been
good.
practicing that one. Great audio quality and informative guests. No world first strats or pretentious hosts. Thank you.
Oh, that's nice.
Nice, thank you.
Just good talk with good people. Keep it up. And then the other one
Thank you.
was titled, the other one was titled Fun Group, Great Listen by C. Jax. One of my favorite weekly podcasts. Fun, diverse group of people talking about their week in WoW.
Awesome,
Nice.
So-
thank you.
There is proof that we do
Aw.
have fans.
And it's nice to have them say, they like what we're doing and, giving us some compliments because that way we know we're doing the right thing. We're talking about the right stuff.
Yeah,
What
because I would
people
hate
like
to
to hear.
I would hate to be doing this every week and everybody's like, we hate that guy. We hate that podcast because they talk about the same stuff every week.
Well, trust me, if they hated us, we would know about it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
That's
I'm sure.
true.
Yeah, I'm sure
It
we
is
would
the
get
internet.
comments like that if they didn't like what we're doing.
So you can also find us, guys, on YouTube. We've got a feed there. Just do a search for Lions Pride Tavern Podcast, and that'll bring up our YouTube page. Then we have Facebook.com/Lions Pride Tavern. You can go there. You can leave comments on Facebook if you're a Facebook person. We're always on iTunes and Google Play. They're actually pulled right off Podomatic's website. And we do pay for the Podomatic website, so we have a thing going on right now. If you want, go to our Facebook page. We will announce your name on the podcast, on air, live, recorded, recorded live. That's what it is. Recorded live for a mere $5, and just a few of you guys helping us out with that will keep us going year after year after year. That would be great. Let's move on to Dancing with the Bosses. So Donabelle is going to take up the tanking aspect of Dancing with the Bosses. And this week's Dancing with the Boss is Demonic Inquisition. And we're going to let JoBui lead it off with ranged DPS.
Okay, so on Demonic Inquisition, basically what I try and do on that one is there's not a whole lot of mechanics on the ground that I have to deal with, except for occasionally I get like this bomb-like thing that goes on me. I don't recall what it's called.
Echoing anguish.
Echoing anguish, thank you. And if I get that on me, then I make one of two choices. If there's a bar on there that gradually fills up when I damage the wrong boss, and if that bar is really full, then I will go into that cage on the back of one of the boss's backs.
Bravo.
Bravo, otherwise known as Belak. So I will go into the cage and then fight the little monster in there and collect the balls that drop off of him, which clears that bar off, and then I'll go back out. But essentially, what I try and do most of the time is I attack Belak primarily. But every now and again, Balak's going to do a spell, which I think is called Unbearable.
Fell Squall.
Is it Fell
And
Squall?
yeah, and the bar thing is Torment. I got that
Okay.
mixed up.
All right. So when Belak does Fell Squall, every time you attack him, it adds to that bar that gets filled up. So when he's about to cast that, I switch to attacking Atragan, which we refer to as Alpha. So I start attacking Atragan until I see that Belak has done casting his Fell Squall, and then I switch back to Belak, and I stay on Belak. Sometimes I run into trouble because as a Frost Mage, I'll cast Blizzard and have it drop down around there, and he'll start casting, and my Blizzard's still going off, so my bar starts filling up really fast, and then I have to go into the other realm real quickly. But otherwise, that's really all I have to do is just attack Belak until he starts casting that. Then I switch over to Alpha or Atragan when Belak is doing his spell. And then occasionally I go inside the cage by using my extra action button and clear that bar out. And then I think it's called Torment is what the bar is called. And then come back out and continue on attacking the bosses. It's pretty straightforward.
So, just I know the answer to this, but for the fans, why do you always switch back to Belak?
I switch back to Belak because Belak's got to be interrupted from time to time. And while that normally gets handled by the melee most of the time, and the tanks, they seem to be on top of it. I always keep an eye out for if his spell needs to be interrupted, which I think is called Pains of Guilt. And I interrupt that if I see it charging up too much. If it gets past a certain point, then I'll throw in a little saber interrupt as a mage from distance. But our folks have been really on point with keeping that interrupted all the time.
Yep, they sure have. I mean, I watched it just go bing, gone, bing, gone. Lorelei, from a melee perspective.
All right. Well, we do the same thing as the range DPS. We have to focus on Balak, and we're usually part of that interrupt rotation. But that can be really difficult because you never know when you have to go into the cage. So it's just keep it going with anybody that can interrupt, and usually warriors can do it fairly quickly. And then with all the backups that we have, as you said, that's not a problem interrupting that. We have to go in. I try to go in when my torment gets about halfway. That way I can get in, get a couple of those little balls, and then get right back out again. We have a little bit more of a problem. We get a lot more torment faster because we're so close. And when he does his fell squall, we usually take quite a bit of that torment just getting away from him. So I think that's more of a problem for the melee DPS. And then the other thing we have to worry about is a ring that you get around you. That's the echoing anguish I was thinking of earlier, where you have to move that out of the group, and then the healers have to dispel that. And other than that, it's just a really easy back and forth fight. Not much else to it.
Okay. Donna, from a tanking aspect?
Alright, from a tanking aspect, once you're got aggro on the bosses, after a while your torment builds up and one of you needs to go into the cage and keep that mini boss have his attention directed towards you. And DBM has put in a little list so that you can keep track of who has how much torment, and you want to keep an eye on your other half's torment, and in between 70 and 80, that's when you want to initiate a switch, have them go into yourself go into the cage while they come out and take over for Alpha's aggro. During fighting Alpha, you want to have and keep an eye on Bonesaw, that's his AoE, and you want to kite him around the right hand side of the room as you're facing the boss, and you want the boss facing away from the rest of the raid, so it would be your right hand side, and you just follow the wall, let him do his little whirlwind, and then head on back when he's done. And you want to keep your defenses up because he does pretty good cleaves. And that's pretty much it.
Sorry, I just got to do this. Bonesaw! What movie?
Oh, I have no idea about the movie.
I was thinking Bone Storm from Lich King, but
oh, Bonesaw. It's from Spider-Man. He gets in the ring with the one guy, and they're all like, Bonesaw! And he goes, you're in the cage with Bonesaw!
Haven't seen it.
That one.
No, anyway. Let's see, where are we at? After Donabelle, it's Tapachino from a healing aspect.
Well, from a healing aspect, we don't have to worry about, which boss to hit, obviously. We do have to watch our bar, and when it gets full for the torment, we have to click our button and go inside the cage. Now, when we're in the cage, we can heal anybody that's in there, but one of our goals is to get back out of the cage. And to do that, you have to absorb these balls that go around, which I'm very good at, by the way. If there aren't any DPS down there, or if there aren't any balls around, you might have to hit the, who is it? Is it one of the bosses that's down there that you're in there?
Yep, little mini boss.
But you have to, hit them a few times so that they'll generate these balls, and then your button can comes up, and you can get back out again. And the other thing we have to watch out for is the dispelling the echoing anguish. We don't want to dispel it when the person is around other players, because it will cause damage from what's called anguish outbursts. So if you dispel it and there's people around that player, they're all going to get damaged. So we wait for the player to get out of range, and they'll tell us, Lorelei, is ready to dispel, or dispel Fafford, and that type of thing. But other than that, it's just heal, heal, heal. Watch your torment bar. Go in to drop that down to nothing again, and dispel as needed, or as we're asked to, I guess you could say. That's about it.
Yeah, now to our fans, one of the cheese methods that we've learned when you get that anguish, instead of getting dispelled and calling out to dispel, if you hit your extra action button and go inside before it goes off, it negates it entirely. But now once you're inside, you have to collect a couple of balls to come back out. So there is that. So you do lose a little DPS, but you don't, if you're right in the middle of a bunch of people, instead of trying to run out and find an empty spot to, say, okay, dispel me, just hit your extra action button. You'll go inside and grab a couple of balls and come right back out.
And that's helpful for the healers too, because we're used to dispelling as they come up, and so sometimes we may hit that dispel button, and do some damage to people, which is anti-healer, of course. So it is helpful if you can dispel it in that way too. Then we don't inadvertently dispel it before we're supposed to.
With that technique of going inside, I mentioned I do that, and the times I call for the dispel from the healers is when I'm in a heavy burn phase. Like if I get it right at the beginning of the fight and all my cooldowns are going off and I'm really going to be doing a lot of damage to the boss, I'll ask for, I'll get to the side quickly and ask for one of the healers to dispel that from me. But if I'm not in a heavy burn phase, then I'll just go off to the side and drop it, or I'll just go inside real quickly and then come back out. So, because it's not going to affect my DPS as much doing that.
Yeah, I agree. I'll do the same thing. I've called for it a couple of times because I just started my my high-end damage rotation, and going inside during that time is ridiculous because I'd rather be doing damage to the boss. So I'll just move out. I'll just have a call for a dispel. Yeah. So, all right. Anybody got anything else to add for Demonic Inquisition? I think it's a pretty cool fight. It's a dual boss, so you shares health. It's pretty straightforward.
Don't panic.
Yeah,
Keep your head.
And that is one that drops a tier piece. Remind me,
Yes, it is. Yeah, that's a tier piece boss.
Yeah. So it's definitely one to get in and get down, even if you're just going to go into LFR and grab pieces for that.
He drops the head, just to be specific.
Yes.
So, whatever your helm is, that's what he drops.
You mean tier pieces drop out of this raid?
Yeah,
well, for other people they do tap.
Yeah,
that's what I've heard.
We
They
called
don't drop
Blizzard.
for tap.
We called Blizzard and said, not for tap. She just bought a bike. She doesn't need it. She used up all of her stuff on her bike.
All my stuff. Which by the way now has a tap license plate.
Yeah. So, fans, if you want to see her bike, you can actually go on our website on Facebook /Lion Fried Tavern, and it's one of the pictures posted right there. You can see her license plate. You see her ass end of her bike.
We should probably take another picture.
Yeah, I'd love to see the side of it. All right, so last week we had Tapachino had something new she learned about. This week, JoBui does.
Okay, so something I'm sure it's been there for quite a while, but I just never noticed it before, is that you can switch talents for the first 60 seconds after you enter into a dungeon or LFR that you've queued up for in the group finder. So you can just open up your talent window and switch out your talents to whatever you'd like them to be for running in that dungeon or that LFR, in case you use different talents when you're out doing world content and stuff. In the past, I've always gone to like a city or something, or a rest area, so that I can, switch out my talents before I queue up for something. And I noticed that one day it just puts a little buff on you that allows you to change your talents real quickly when you enter into one of those, which I thought was pretty cool. I just never noticed it before.
That is pretty cool.
There was another thing that I learned this week, which is now there's two legendary champion equipment pieces that give you a chance to get an artifact power token when completing a world quest. They're the Pouch of Wonder and the Shard of the Twisting Neither. You can equip both of those on the same combat ally, and you'll have a chance of getting two artifact power tokens when you complete a world quest. Each one has a separate 20% chance of granting a token, so you still might not get one, but you could get two from the same world quest. And of course, gold bonuses and class hall resource bonuses also stack from champion equipment as well.
Yeah, now that actual building was up this last weekend.
2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, where you could, basically all you do is you go talk to the guy, run in the building, talk to another guy, boom, and you got a package.
Yeah, I got two legendary pieces of legendary champion equipment for all of my alts and my main, 2 weeks in a row. You know, I mean that was great to have those there, and I finally got the Pouch of Wonder on JobUI, which is pretty cool.
Yay! And even if the building is burning, that guy will still be in there, standing there ready to give you your legendary package.
You know, he's there all the time, but if you go talk to him when it's not up, he's just all like, I'm all out of supplies, so come back another time. Because I tried talking to him, because a long time ago, he had that blue question mark above his head when I first got one, and I was like, oh, there's some kind of repeatable quest here. What does this dude do? And I talked to him, and he gave me a piece of champion equipment in the box. I was like, yay, that's cool. I'm going to come back and see you sometime, since that question mark was blue. And I would go back there, and the dude never had the blue above his head again. And I was like, what's going on, dude? When are you going to get resupplied and give me some stuff? And then I figured out that it was tied to the actual building perk bonus for that particular spawn of the building.
Yes, that's why it's very important for you fans. If you want to know what building is up without actually going to the aisle, you can go to Wowhead, and on their main page, they have it listed what building is up and coming, what building's at what percentage of construction, and what they're going to have when that building appears, what two things that it'll do for the 3 days that it's up. So very important to keep on top of that, and it's every 3 days. So, I announce it in my news what's going to be up at the time of the podcast, but, it's going to change by the time the next podcast comes 2 more times. So it could be, anything. So go out and make sure you, wowhead.com has it right there at the top of their page. All right, I think it's time. Let's cue the music for Lorelei's Pet Battle Minute.
Hi. Today I thought I'd go back a bit and do a quick run through of just how to get started with your pet battling career. There are a few requirements you need to fulfill before becoming a seasoned pet battle master. The first thing is that your character must be level 5 or above, and you'll have to purchase a one-time training fee, which is account bound. So once you get it on the toon you're working on, all of your toons have it. You don't have to go through that again. You begin training at your starting zone town, and each faction's main city has 2 trainers available to you. Looking at your tooltips for your pets is very important. Health is the most important stat, as high health will keep your pet alive longer. Many pets also have a self-healing ability, and some provide healing for your backline pets as well. And I've used that term before. Backline pets are just the 2 other pets that are waiting for you to switch it over to them. Power determines the base damage for your pet's attacks. This is a good stat, but it's not necessary to choose a pet with higher power than health. Speed determines which a pet attacks first, you or your opponent. This can be very important against an opponent that starts out with a stun attack. Using pets with high speed is also good for capturing other pets. Check out curse.com for some add-ons that will definitely make battling and leveling your pets easier. I love using Pet Battle Teams, which allows you to set up unlimited teams and easily make changes to those teams. This add-on is not vital, but it makes organization easy. The next one I use is Pet Battle Tracker. This one is a definite for serious pet masters. It will track a lot of information: location of battle pets, zone tamers the rarity of your opponent, so you know that if it's something that you want to trap, or if it's just a little gray one, you don't want it, it'll tell you that. And most important, it tells you which attacks have advantage or disadvantage against you. So if you're trying to get into pet battling or add to your stable, check out each zone and visit the tamers. Pet battles can become addictive, so have fun. And that's the Pet Battle Minute for today.
Next up,
Getting Deeps with Joe Bowie.
Something that can easily be overlooked when it comes to getting good DPS is making sure you're getting a good frame rate during raid situations. Frame rate is measured in frames per second, or FPS. A high frame rate produces a very smooth animation, while low frame rate can make things look very choppy. When the frame rate is high, it makes it much easier to see what is happening. That, in turn, makes it easier for you to react quickly to raid mechanics and makes throwing out your spells and abilities go a little smoother. The high end of your frame rate is determined by how powerful your PC is. However, there are things you can do to improve your overall frame rate. Blizzard even provides a separate tab for raid and battleground settings, so you can keep your game looking the same as you like it for world content and get higher frame rates when in raid situations. There are a few settings in your graphics tab that tend to have more effect than others on your frame rate. Some of those would be anti-aliasing, view distance, ground clutter, shadow quality, liquid detail, particle density, and SSAO. There isn't time in this segment to go over what each of these settings do, but adjusting them down in the raid and battleground tab of your graphics settings will improve your frame rate and give you a smoother raiding experience. In short, improving your FPS can improve your DPS. So check your graphics settings for raiding and keep getting those deeps.
What's wrong with tanking? What's wrong with tanking? What's wrong with tanking in a dress? What's wrong with tanking? What's wrong with tanking? What's wrong with tanking in a dress?
this is Epistle. I'm on holiday.
Hi, the answering machine is not available at the moment. This is the fridge. Please leave a message when the light is on.
That's good.
I love it. And then there's
I need a healer. I'm holding out for a healer till the end of the run. They gotta be skilled and they gotta be calm and they gotta be second to none. I need a healer.
A tough subject this week, but I'm going to talk about it anyways, and that is having to make sacrifices. Yes, we healers want to keep everyone alive, that's our thing after all, but sometimes we have to sacrifice a player or players and let them die. Our mana is low, the hits are wicked hard, everyone is taking immense damage, the enraid timer is minutes away, and everyone's health is almost in the toilet. It's a tough call for us to make, but it is sometimes necessary in order to down the boss. So when, I say when and not if, because you will be in this situation at some point, so when this happens, you need to keep the tanks, yourself, and the highest DPS alive first and foremost. Keep an eye on the DPS using your favorite add-on to see who's at the top. If there are battle reses available, they should go to the tank or to whomever the raid leader calls for. So as much as we would like to have everyone alive at the end, sometimes it just isn't going to happen. Those who were sacrificed, thank you and better luck next time. And that is this week's Tap into the Healing Minute, and I would like to dedicate this segment to Mac.
I thought you were going to say me because it's like, sorry, Fafford, we keep letting you die, but you're just not good enough.
Mac's kind of taken over that role.
Yay. Whew.
Our resident demon hunter bug.
Aw,
I think
poor
we,
Mac.
I think we came up with the name Swiffer for him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I suggested that he change his toon name to Swiffer. But, he's a great guy, and he's improving quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
But he's still got a ways to go on that staying alive thing.
And we don't purposely just let him die. It's just something that happens.
No, he runs out of hit points.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before the boss does, actually.
Oh,
Well-
we never mentioned that Mac put in an appearance audio-wise.
Dex
with
did.
us. Dex, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
Dex
right.
did,
Dex
yep.
did.
Yeah, he showed up and chatted with us a bit during our last raid.
Yeah.
That was a lot of
He's-
fun.
He's working on a hunter, and so we should be able to see him come on here. And oh, geez, I would think a couple more weeks, maybe. Depends on he's got a lot of real life stuff going on, so he doesn't have a lot of time to play. And I get that. I know how it goes. But when he does, he's going to be joining our raid, and he will be Duster.
Duster.
We'll have Swiffer and Duster.
yeah,
No, I don't know what his name's going to be, but yeah. Or we could call him Dusty Butt. Suppose that would work. I mean, if he's going to be on the ground. Who knows? Who knows?
That'd
Maybe
be
he'll
good. That'll be
surprise
what,
us.
15 hunters?
Yeah, right?
And to be
Just what we
fair, Mac has survived some boss fights
He has
lately.
been
Yes.
doing
he has.
really,
He has
really
actually
well.
survived a lot more than he used to.
Yeah, and his DPS has been going up. He's been doing better for sure.
Yep. Well, he's been getting into the mythics after the raid, and getting some gear there. And I know he's gathered a couple of pieces from our raid. And that all helps. So yeah. And then Dex will be joining us, and those are both the guys from the Goblin Gold cast. And by the way, I don't know if I told you guys this, but they have actually invited me to their podcast as a guest. I don't know what the hell I'm going to talk about. I never get asked any questions. I always ask the questions. So I might turn it around on them. We'll see. So you have to check out their podcast coming up this week. So I shall be on it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we might have to get a hold of him and maybe set you up.
That doesn't take much.
Yeah, just
That'll
right,
be
so-
cool. Can't wait to
so
listen
just-
to it.
ask him a question.
Yeah, right?
Answer their
it's-
questions with a question.
It's WFN News, Warcraft Fafford News. So by the time of this podcast, the Neither Disruptor should be the building up next at the Broken Shores. It will have the Epic Hunter and Reinforced Reins, which means, you can pretty much do everything on horseback without actually dismounting. So that's pretty cool. The weekly quest this week is the Arena Skirmish. WoW tokens still for the third week in a row, 125k in the States. So
Wow.
yeah, so that's pretty much setting a trend there. So if you're going to buy a token to pay for your Warcraft, it's probably the best time to do it, because I paid for mine 4 weeks ago at 135. So that was a waste of 10 grand. Oh well. Oh yeah, and here's some great news, guys. So the very first, and this was like 7 hours ago, after weeks of progression and 653 wipes, Mythic Kill Jaden finally went down for the first time.
Wow.
They were killed by the
Congratulations.
they were killed by the guild Method. Now those are one, if you guys remember, I talked about this on one podcast. They were racing to see who could do the first Mythic kill on the last one, and Method was one that was really topping the charts. So they got it this time. They got the first Mythic Kill Jaden kill.
Congratulations,
Yeah,
Method.
they're
Yeah.
a great guild.
Yeah, that's an amazing feat right there. Because I think they're topped out at 30 people. Or they probably have more than that, and it's probably really tough to get into that guild.
Oh,
That's a-
yeah.
And that's a lot of patience to wipe that many times and keep rolling on it.
653. Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot of attempts, man. That's a lot.
Do you think they watch Fat Boss TV?
I'll bet you they do.
I bet when they, at least when they get started, but Fat Boss doesn't cover the mythics, it just
Yeah.
covers heroic.
Up to heroic.
Yeah, I'm
That's
sure
true.
they figure all that stuff out themselves.
All right, guys, we're going to call it a little bit early. Not too much. We're only about 4 or 5 minutes early. I want to thank Charm for all of her beautiful music for our all of our minutes. And please, fans, if you got any questions or comments, we love to hear them. We'll read them on the air. We'll answer any questions you have. You get a hold of us in the descriptions. Our email addresses for JoBui and for Tapachino if you have specific questions for healing or DPS. You can always get a hold of us on our Facebook page, leave us an email there or our YouTube channel when Donabelle does her drawing. Thanks everybody for coming. Panel, you've been great, and we'll see you all next week.
And thank you for the nice comments too, listeners.
Don't forget, this Saturday is the auction house dance party, so put your shoes on and go in and have a fun time.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna change it into a disco. It's got like a
And you
lighted
can-
floor, disco balls.
I'm
That's
not
on what?
sure
That's on
how.
Saturday.
It's on Saturday. I think it's only Saturday only, so you'd have to get in there. And supposedly, somehow, because I haven't been able to find out how you get it or what you, unless you just stay in there long enough, you're going to get little tokens, those little style tokens for upgrading or getting your transmog equipment from your transmog vendor.
Oh, nice.
I think
Wait,
that's where those are coming
Which
from.
transmog vendor?
Any
There's a
transmog
transmog?
vendor.
This
There's one in the
transmog vendor?
enchanting store in Dalaran.
Oh, you're talking
Oh,
about
the-
just
oh.
you get tokens for free transmogs if you dance in there?
No, well, there's items that you can buy, and I think that's where they're coming from. But you know what? I have a feeling maybe it's not. I'm going to look that back up. I thought that's where those little tokens came from.
Yeah, you said there's transmog vendor, and my ears perked up. I'm like, wait, who's
Well,
selling
you're going
cool
to be
stuff
able
to wear?
from the transmog guy. You're going to be able to purchase items that you can use for transmog.
Oh, well, that's cool.
Yeah, you could go to the transmog vendor in Dalaran, and you can preview what he has to sell right there.
Well,
That's
I guess we
cool.
know where we're all off to
Yeah,
after the
That's where I'm gonna
podcast.
be.
yeah. I apparently need to go to Dalaran all of a sudden.
All right, thanks everybody for coming. We'll see you next week.
See ya.
Thank you.
See
ya.
ya.
I kissed an orc and I liked it. The taste of his Bulgur chapstick. I kissed an orc just to try it. I hope my allied friends don't mind it. It felt so wrong, it felt so right. Don't meet up in love tonight.
If you like this podcast, throw us a like and subscribe to our channel. And please, leave comments or questions below. Maybe we'll answer them on the air next podcast. We are hosted on Podomatic.com. Our website is lionspridetavern.podomatic.com. Our podcast also airs on iTunes for Apple users, Google Play for Androids, and YouTube. Just search World of Warcraft Lions Pride Tavern podcast. See you next week, and thanks for listening.